Welcome to the strategic review of Coles Supermarkets by Blaise Agresta, Thomas Bradbury, Brodie Hayter, Vin Liu, and John O'Regan. In this presentation, we will look at the executive summary and then look at the external and internal strategic analysis. This will be followed by the strategic directions and objectives, and then the key business and international strategies. This will be followed by the strategic implementation and evaluation of Coles strategies, followed by a conclusion. And Coles currently faces intense uncertainty due to intense competition, low growth, the current demerger with its parent company Wesfarmers, international rivals assessing the viability of the Australian market and whether they should expand into such a market, the changing demographics and spending behaviour, which threatens the sizable market share Coles currently controls. Now, Coles appears to be failing in achieving its vision and missions and needs to look towards online shopping as an area to invest in innovation. Looking at Coles' business level strategy, there is a focus on the business and market development, market penetration, and diversification strategies. But Coles needs to invest heavily in innovation outlined within its mission to successfully leverage any competitive advantage it may have over its competitors. Innovation in the online marketplace is highly recommended due to its potential and growth opportunities. Currently and overall, Coles' strategic performance is moderately successful. So we recommend that Coles invest in research and analysis, in future demands and trends, and position the company proactively to meet such trends, to improve its online presence, to provide a fast and reliable delivery service, exceed corporate social responsibility expectations, to build trust within the community, and to provide a fast and efficient and convenient in-store experience for its consumers.
An analysis of the external environment of Coles can be conducted by first looking at the general environment in which it operates. This is achieved by using a pestle analysis to identify key factors. Politically, Coles is governed by policies and laws introduced by the Australian government, with an example of these being the current uncertainty surrounding company tax. Economically, the Australian economy is growing, which means Australians are spending more but saving less. Socially, changing consumer diets and spending habits affect Coles, with changing opinions towards the cost of groceries, single-use plastic bags, and product wastage particularly relevant issues currently. Social initiatives aimed at environment, community support, healthy eating, and exercise are used by Coles to try and offset this. Environmentally, Coles has to abide by environmental policies and laws set in place by the federal and state governments. With weather events such as the current drought, waste and recycling, energy efficiency, stores, sustainable packaging, and greenhouse gas emissions being current issues. Legally, Coles must abide by the laws and policies of the Australian government, with pricing regulations being the key factor here, and they must meet the requirements of regulatory bodies such as the ACCC, which they've had quite a bit of trouble with lately. The analysis of the external environment of Coles can be continued by focusing on the specific environment in which it operates in. This is achieved using Porter's 5 forces models and looking at key factors. The first of these is the threat of new entrants, which is moderate to low in the case of Coles. The threat largely comes from overseas markets, with Tesco or Walmart expanding out here. The rivalry between firms is extremely high. Woolworths and Coles offer similar service product ranges and operate in direct competition with very similar market shares. The threat of substitute products, there is very little threat, with there being no direct substitutes for groceries, with the only real threat coming from bakers or delis who can do specialized products. The bargaining power of suppliers is extremely low. This is due to suppliers' desire to increase their products' visibility and distribution using Coles and Coles' larger network. And the bargaining power of buyers, but the buyers' power is quite high, with the closeness of the overall market share possessed by Coles and Woolworths, meaning that a small change in the number of shoppers can have a large impact on the overall market share. The specific environment of Coles can be further assessed by applying a turbulence analysis to identify an appropriate management focus. Coles offers a large number of products, with the product range rapidly changing to suit customer demands. The supermarket industry is dominated by Coles and Woolworths, and as such is moderately complex. The intensity of change in the supermarket industry is low, with incremental change generally what happens, with a good example of this being the introduction of self-serve checkouts. Frequency of change is low, and changes to store structure, the core product range, and services very rare. This means that it's not a very dynamic industry. Coles and the supermarket industry at large are relatively predictable, with no foreseeable change, and therefore are very predictable. Based on this, a customer and competitor-based management focus has been identified. Finally, from the analysis, the threats and opportunities of Coles can be identified. Threats are that Coles operates in a highly competitive industry with a delicate market balance. Uncertainty surrounding company tax laws and a poor reputation following scandals are issues. Opportunities for Coles are new technologies such as self-serve checkouts and innovation in the shopping industry to tailor stores to their communities.
Assess the internal environment of Coles. The strengths and weaknesses identified through the SWOT analysis were considered, and the strategic capabilities and core competencies of Coles identified. Now, these core competencies included the convenience and location of each of its stores, the experience of the drug OTC and liquor markets, the marketing data through its Flybuys program, its consumer trust in its Coles brand, and the strong logistics network and its economies of scale throughout the producer to consumer chain. Now, with these core competencies, two strategic capabilities stood out. That is, Coles' ability to leverage technological development and in order to innovate within the industry, and also its relationships with its suppliers and its consumers that it's developed through both its procurement and through its corporate social responsibility and community workings. Now, most core competencies cannot be considered as providing competitive advantage because they are easily replicated by Woolworths. However, there are two factors which could be classed within this category. One is location, and this location is a strategic competitive advantage because it's dependent on the area of the individual stores, as consumers will tend to shop the closest Woolworths or Coles. And Flybuys, Coles can leverage the Flybuys program. It is the most valued loyalty card in Australia. It is very rare for its scale and size of the scheme, and it can be used to better target individual consumer behaviour. Now, the problem with location is that in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and various metro areas, high-density areas are becoming more prevalent in these areas, and Coles' large-scale business model does not fit well. Also, consumer changes towards are shifting towards online rather than these big-scale model business models. So Coles needs to innovate quickly towards the online market and towards smaller stores in high-density areas to adapt to changes in how Australians shop. Coles can better leverage its current locations and logistical infrastructure to create a quick and reliable home delivery service, which is easy to use and convenient for the customer.
The Coles Way is a set of beliefs held by the company, best defined by the vision statement, to give the people of Australia a shop they trust, delivering quality, service and value. This vision does not clearly define the level of each attribute the company tries to achieve, but is otherwise well articulated. Coles seeks to live the vision, however presently offers less in the way of value than their competitors. Coles' mission statement, we are innovative industry leaders who supply customers with value, convenience and superior service, is clearly articulated, and it is currently being carried out as shown by the proposed demerger, which will supply their customers with superior value without harming convenience or service. The stakeholder salience model has been used to analyse the salience and demands of each stakeholder, with shareholders and customers being the most important to satisfy, and has been compared to the current strategic objectives. Aside from employees and the union, all stakeholders are being satisfied by current strategic objectives, including the Coles demerger, the single-use plastic bag ban, and supporting Aussie farmers during the drought.
Coles business strategies focus remarkably on product and market development, slightly less on the market penetration and diversification strategies. After the demerger, Fresh Tomorrow strategy remained Coles' centers of attention, with 6 core elements, which evolved in improving qualities of fresh Australian grown products, fine-tuning its partnership with external suppliers, continuing its everyday low price, and increasing its footage toward online shopping. The company equally invests further into private labels as a prominent strategy to become an home range powerhouse. Coles has also sought to strengthen its market presence by successfully opening additional 20 supermarkets, 37 new liquor stores, and 21 new Coles Express locations. And by increasing the number of stores, Coles aims to increase the proximity to customers, thereby resulting in gaining access to a wider customer base. Additionally, Coles' diversification strategy is clearly reflected in its engagement in financial service, with more than 1 million user accounts and over 5.7 million active households across Australia participated in the Flybuy during 2016. Given the highly competitive environment, somewhat predictable market demand, but pretty static dynamism, Coles' adaptive strategy leans toward analyzer and defender, not too much on prospector and reactor position. Within its domestic market, Coles not only go a full-blown price war with Woolies, their biggest market shareholder, but it also has to divide its attention to new players like Amazon and Aldi. Coles' organization structure has been working toward tight control, low overhead, and efficient operation by continuously optimizing its offer product range, closely watching and matching movement from Woolworths, and developing an aggressive pricing barrier to prevent new players' entrance. Coles continue to invest to different digital channels such as Coles Online, mobile application, and the wide range of delivery options to make sure it fulfilled customer expectation. Besides, Coles also believe that its own brand will be an important differentiator and therefore strive to grow and innovate its offering of private label product. Coles position its private label product as a key differentiation to its competitors in the broad market. This is a medium risk movement according to the Financial Review. Besides, the cost leadership strategy is clearly demonstrated in a tug-of-war price between itself, Woolies, Aldi, and the other players. Coles also has been leveraging on economies of scale as well as the experience curve to reduce costs of creating and supplying its products. In detail, Coles invests into logistic automation for faster supply chains and building a distribution network housing their chilled and frozen food for transportation around the area. The companies also strive to achieve the economy of scale by reinventing the supermarket experience, starting with identifying innovative opportunities that respond to the need of a high-traffic retail environment. Coles signed exclusive alliance with Shell, who operate more than 700 outlets nationwide, and launched a partnership with Shops outsource company Air-Tasker, which has enabled customers to contract workers to do their shopping and deliver it on their behalf. While there is little information of Coles' plan to expand its business overseas, given the potential benefits of increased market size, better returns of investment, and utilization of economies of scale and location advantages, it is highly suggestive for Coles to pursue this strategic agenda. With limited experience in operating retail business in other countries, Coles should initially start with low to medium risk entry options like exporting or forming strategic alliance. And this target area should be the Asia Pacific, which has a strong growth potential in terms of expenditure and fast-moving consumer good market dynamic. Besides, a multi-domestic strategy is a reasonable approach which balances the two dimensions. First is the exposure to external risk versus the expected revenue and profit margin, and second, the level of control versus the responsiveness toward the local market chain.
Coles' implementation of their chosen business level strategies has largely been successful and well-timed. However, there is some evidence of strategic drift. Second curve activity in the form of the Coles demerger is in effect and is expected to help reduce this strategic drift. The current strategies are consumer and competitor based, which is an appropriate focus as determined by the environmental turbulence model. Coles has some evidence of unrealized and imposed strategies, with the single-use plastic bag ban's initial strategy being unrealized due to public backlash, which resulted in a replacement strategy being imposed, which then incurred further backlash. Currently, Coles is a cash cow, according to the Boston Consulting Group Matrix, slowly drifting away from that, however, as their market share isn't really growing. As a result of this, the company needs to implement strategies in order to grow their market share to retain their cash cow status. Using McKinsey's 7S Plus model, we can identify 3 main areas of issue from the initial 16 areas which require strategic focus. These areas are strategy, systems, and innovation. Coles' current strategy is facing the issue of slow growth in the market, with main competitors growing at or faster than the market, particularly Aldi. Coles has also recently surpassed Woolworths as the most expensive supermarket according to a consumer choice survey. This provides an inability for the company to run higher risk-reward strategies whilst competitors are able to do so. Coles' current plastic bag ban system, as previously discussed, faced some backlash, and the resulting system that was created received further backlash. This negative public image has not yet been rectified and has resulted in the loss of many environmentally conscious consumers, and it is an issue that may not go away until it's resolved. Coles' strategy has left the company unable to run higher risk-reward strategies. However, their competitors are not in this position, and in particular, competitor Woolworths is currently using their position of advantage to disruptively innovate. This innovation will cause Coles issues down the line, as the new store style being implemented by Woolworths will potentially remove a portion of the market into a new market only satisfied by Woolworths, unable to ever be regained by Coles.
Overall, Coles is performing reasonably well, given the highly competitive market it operates. Given the strategic objectives previously discussed by Tom, we have found that Coles is having only moderate success in achieving them. We have identified that its most important objective is its demerger from its parent company Wesfarmers, and highlight that this needs to be handled with extreme care. The objectives it is having some success implementing are its strategy around improved employee relations and its relationship with key stakeholders such as suppliers, government, unions, and community. Despite this, more work needs to be done with its strategies around its customers, its financiers, and its environmental stakeholders. In this slide, we take a look at the balanced scorecard analysis. As we can see, Coles' financial performance is reasonably good without being great. It is generating reasonable revenue, but struggling to convert that to profit. Its customer performance is where Coles really falling behind. Its market share is steadily declining, and its online presence is well behind its competitors. On a positive, however, its brand image is excellent and can be considered an important asset. In terms of its internal processes, it performs reasonably well here. It is an excellent logistics network and is considerably improving its treatment of employees, resulting in its turnover rate reducing year on year. It has also implemented a 5-year plan to renew its store layouts. The area of learning and growth is another area that is letting the company down. While it is rethinking its store locations and layout, it is well behind the market in developing its online presence and, in general, reacting to market trends and competitor activity. To conclude, we've seen from this report that Coles' strategic performance is moderately successful. We see that it is operating in a hugely competitive market with great uncertainty given the risks present. We found that it is implementing a number of strategic initiatives with reasonable success. These include investing in smarter store locations, slowly improving its online presence, and moving to an everyday low price model. However, we have concluded that Coles needs to do more in order to remain competitive in the future. We finish this presentation with some recommendations to senior management. Our overarching advice to them is to invest in research and analysis in future demands and trends in the grocery market and to proactively respond to them. In particular, Coles needs to dramatically improve its online presence, develop a faster, more efficient delivery service, exceed its corporate social responsibility expectations, and improve on providing a faster and more convenient in-store experience for its customers.